Yeah, you've got to take your chances. When you play against Man City, you don't get too many chances, and when you do, you have to take them and then hope you defend well. And they missed two real good chances. Wood missed both of them, in my opinion, two very good chances. You can't miss them chances. I don't care if you're Arsenal or Liverpool or Man United, you play against Man City, you have to score them.
You just asked me, before the game with the miss Foden. Of course, you miss his sharpness, his goals, his assist and all that sort of stuff. When you've got the quality of Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Doku, who wasn't at his best today, obviously got subbed. Then put Bernardo on the right-hand side, put Kovacic in the middle, free up space for Kevin De Bruyne. They just find a way, and I think that is the difference. City weren't at their best today, but they can just score at any time. Delivery and the quality was the difference today.
Is that the measure of their quality, Roy, that even when they are not at their best, they're able to win, in the end, relatively comfortably?
And they must have, what we said, gone in the dressing room, they must have great belief in themselves and each other, and obviously with the manager when they're known. We're sitting there and after 20, 25 minutes, you're thinking Forest are doing well and they're creating chances, but you're still thinking City will eventually get themselves going. And obviously at half-time, the second half they got more control, and you're bringing Haaland on. De Bruyne then starts flexing his muscles. And I thought De Bruyne, for his 2 goals, I think generally he wasn't still not at his very best. But they know they have another gear to go to. They had a tough game midweek and they were outstanding. And today was a case of, let's get the job done. Again, Foden was a loss. But the one thing I always look, when I look at Man City and the players and their subs, the word that springs to mind every time I see them is quality. It's just pure quality from the players they've got. And even today where they weren't at it, set pieces. They can turn to set pieces with delivery, people attacking the ball, options off the bench. It's so difficult to stop. And again, we go back to, before a game, if you spoke to the Forest, you go, you're going to get these type of chances. You'd be delighted. You've got to take 1 or 2 of them, put at least some sort of pressure on City. But when teams are missing them chances, even Forest the second half would then lose that belief themselves going, we can't keep missing them. And you just automatically know going, they are going to get that second goal.
A word on Forest before we see the action, Michael. Could they have actually done any more, bar finish their chances today in terms of their all-round game?
I think their all-round game was really good, very positive. The first goal could have avoided that. Really disappointing. I'm sure Nuno's looking at that, which they will have spoken about going into this game. Over this season, they've given too many goals away from set pieces. And when you come up against Manchester City, that's not one way you think you're going to get hurt. We can avoid that. They've got the quality, which everyone knows Manchester City can hurt you. The players they have in the team. But to go 1-0 behind against that way, that was disappointing. But there's plenty of positives Nottingham Forest can take out of that game. I think Alanga and Callum Hudson-Odoi were absolutely magnificent. They will terrify defenders. We're talking about Kyle Walker. Callum Hudson-Odoi made problems for him, and they got in some fantastic positions, great opportunities, and I'm sure Chris Wood tonight, who's been in a good vein of form, takes his chances normally. He'll have a sleepless night.
Well, how do you avoid conceding that first goal? The in-swinging corner has been a bit of a theme on Super Sunday. We made the point at half-time that Forest were temporarily down to 10 for this delivery. But how is it preventable?
Bring Montiel on straight away. Don't go off the field. Make the decision if you're going to be OK to play on. Take the time, because then Montiel can come on. And if you look where Montiel in other set-piece incidents, he would have been in that area. The ball was delivered
right to the
in.
front post.
It was right at the front post. And look, Guardiola got in front of Murillo. Would Montiel have been there? Would Williams been there? Take nothing away from
Can Murillo do any more,
magnificent.
Micah?
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because we was talking about Spurs and Arsenal before. If you're looking at the ball now and you don't know who's around you, then Guardiola gets above him first. It's always going to be difficult. But that front man has got to go and engage. It's a great header. The way it gets up, it was amazing.
Brilliant.
It really was.
But where should you be looking in that position on that front post?
So the ball's over there, where you are there. You should be on the half turn. And we always talk when we coach, be on your toes, be ready. But he's looking, he's thinking, OK, we're man down, my job is here. But he's just standing still, and he's not the tallest of defenders anyway. As soon as that ball comes across, he's flat-footed, and that is a difference. If you look
Open your body, Micah. Open your body so you can see it all coming across. He can't see anything.
Exactly there. He's flat-footed, and by the time he reacts, it's just too late.
Well, when balls go in there, and there's obviously a conversation you can have. Sometimes it's about, I always go back to who really wants to head that ball. There's got to be an element of determination about it. He's on his heels, body language. You cannot. His job certainly is that nobody gets across him. Whatever goes over him, he's obviously his teammates to help him out, or a goalkeeper, and he's just on his heels. And when that ball's coming, you talk about determination to stay in the league or to win titles, and City had a bit of determination just at that moment.
Set pieces again, they're undoing. That's got to be a big frustration, hasn't it?
Yeah, because it's avoidable.
24 for the season.
Yeah, really, really disappointing for Nottingham Forest. And it's been like that all season. We look at mistakes. I said before the game they had to defend well. And in general open play, they did. Sells didn't have numerous saves to make. But what he did, I think there was 2 big saves he made. That was it. I expected more from Manchester City.
The players must have that fear now when they're giving up corners. They're aware of the stats, obviously. So when they are giving away corners, they will lack that belief and that confidence that we can defend it because of that record just there.
23 that was today. That scored. And you're nervous going into the game. You're anxious. You're thinking, look, don't let my man score. I'll do anything to block it. And it was just, I mean, the ball from De Bruyne and then the timing from Guardiola. Sometimes it's that split second and you get them done.
That blows my mind, that chart. The 3 that got relegated, who just come up, are the bottom 3. And then it's Nottingham Forest, the bottom 4. The 3 that come up, the one thing you've got to be good at is set plays. You might get opened up during the season by better players.
Is there an argument that they're facing more because they're giving away more?
They'll be facing more, but still, that is their bread and butter.
I still think what catches out the teams that come up, we know obviously the strength in the Premier League. I still think they underestimate the quality of delivery they're going to be facing and the strength and power of these modern defenders. I know they come up, these promoted teams come up, and I think no doubt the managers of the 3 teams at the bottom at the moment will be working on it. Of course they will be, but they will be giving up a lot of free kicks. They will be giving away a lot of corners. And I think what can surprise you is the quality, and we saw that even with Arsenal today, Spurs, the delivery and the strength of the players attacking, the physicality. I think it catches a lot of them out.
In terms of the delivery,
concentration's got to play a big part in that.
But in terms of the delivery, we take that for granted a little bit, don't we? Kevin De Bruyne is putting it, exactly in the inches, the feet where he wants it.
He is. All my career at Arsenal, the whole of my career, I was the front post man. Nothing could ever get in front of me. If someone got in front of me and flicked it on and we scored, I would be brought off there and then. And you're literally told that. You get done there, you're off. I get done once, and that was by David Ginola at Paris Saint-Germain. And he got in front of me in bowling.
That was your role, but what were you good at it, do you think? Or,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
No, I was.
No, just imagine you attacking it. That's
no,
all.
I didn't really. But no one would get in front of me. I'd be like side on. I didn't want to head the ball.
Right.
But do you know what I mean? I made sure no one else got headed the ball in front of me. And it's concentration, giving people jobs. It's like sometimes when centre-halves come up for a corner, they come up because they've been told to come up. Like the lad today who just scored, he's come up to score. Other centre-halves come up, they never get near a header. They can play the whole season, come up for every corner, which will be, 100 corners?
2 lads over there.
100 corners? How many goals? 100 corners. And not even get their head on one of them. And that's what it's concentration levels. That was poor. And it was poor with Tottenham as well, both teams.
The second goal for Manchester City was slightly different. They kept the ball for 1 minute and 23 seconds. And this build-up included 29 passes. But I want to come to you again, Paul, on this. In terms of the quality of these final moments. Kevin De Bruyne's ball through to that finish.
To be fair, the pass, Kevin De Bruyne gets into the space there in between, and it's that pass. People will go, I can do that. You can't. It's just perfect. He doesn't have to wait for it. It doesn't get bobbled in. He's on the half turn. He's already seen. He lets it roll, and this is just a perfect ball. He is, even though he's one of the greatest players about, he's the best 5-10 yard passer of a ball in the world. And people go, I can do that. Never gets it wrong. Even if he goes down the line and he rolls it back for someone else, it's rolled back so they can whip it in. It's never rolled back where they have to take a touch or they're rushed.
Well, look at Forrest there.
Watch him now. Look at him looking around, scanning. He's already looked. He can let this ball roll. Look, bang, and he's away, and it's good night.
But Forrest is stretched there, lads.
They are stretched, but I think what's good about this, obviously, Kovacic starts it. So if you look at the Forest players, they don't know whether to engage or drop off. That allows Kevin De Bruyne to get that space, then to free up Haaland. That was a difference. In the first half, Alvarez kept going to feet, as you said, Merce, and it was easier for them to defend. Once Haaland runs that way, in behind, it's very difficult as a defender. You see Murillo there, he's positioning, he's thinking, Haaland, what do I do? He's frightened. So the first thing you do is drop off. That allows that space for Haaland, them to go do his thing. In actual fact, it actually does well, gets him onto his right foot.
Yeah.
But the keeper comes and engages too early, then allows a gap there.
The thing that happens there that they didn't do in the first half, and that's why the space opens up, 20-odd passes, as you said. Before, that wasn't the case in the first half. They were giving the ball away cheaply. As soon as you get into 10, 11, 12 passes with Man City, then people start falling asleep. then all of a sudden people start drifting into positions and other teams are like, and that's when it gets into 15, 17, 20 passes. He had all the freedom of the park, Kevin De Bruyne. He didn't have it in the first half. They were giving the ball away too cheaply. And that's why they're so good.
We've got to, feel a little bit sorry for Forest, though. If you keep the ball, you're tired, aren't you?
100%.
Your concentration there to get back in shape. You're trying to do the things, but if you're a split second off, that's when the holes appear.
And he makes it look so easy, doesn't he? He looks so sharp when he came on today, Erling Haaland. Made the point that it's not a bad sub to bring on at this stage of a game, at this stage of a season. What sort of level would you have his general play at today?
He was very much like a championship player. He's improved a lot. No, in terms of a goal scorer, he's absolutely amazing. He's took, 3 or 4 touches there. The defender's on his back foot. Yeah, listen, there's no doubt in his quality in terms of his finishing. Brilliant. And again, you're looking, and the players coming off the bench, he'd be frustrated and he'll be annoyed. So when he's coming on, he wants to have an impact on the game. And when the game is stretched like that and you've got people like De Bruyne, he's making them runs, he's going to find you. And then it's just that bit of sharpness which he's shown.
And what about the Forest finishing, Michael?
Well, it wasn't Haaland finishing, was it? And Chris Wood has been like that. I've give him plaudits. He's been in good form for Forest. He takes chances. I mean, he hasn't had an awful lot, but today he had 2 glorious chances. Great play, wing back to wing back here. Montiel just pulls it back, little bit flat-footed. If he has a good contact on it, it's a goal. You see Edison moving across the line. He just has to get contact on it. He'll know he has to do better than that. It's a big, big chance for them.
That said, he's been a huge player for Nottingham Forest, hasn't he, this season? And it's just those ifs and buts moments today, Paul.
Yeah,
but you have to be careful, because we keep saying Forest are good enough and we'll get out of trouble. You always think they've shown enough quality. But there's also a team that goes down, you're thinking, they had more than enough to stay up.
I mean, this was another great chance. Alanga, brilliant. Switch side in open play, and can he pick him out? Yeah. I mean, this was good defending. He has a good contact on it. Guardiola puts himself in a position to block it. Another one, good defending, you say. But these are huge opportunities. I mean, few and far between. We're playing Manchester City here, and Forest deserved, to put the ball in the back of the net. But when they come, you have to take them. I mean, this one was just a nice, comfortable save for Ortega. If that goes in, you're going to be really, really disappointed. I don't class that as a chance.
But again, even the goalkeeper, Man City, making a change with the goalkeeper, and they deal with all them challenges. You're on about feeling sorry for yourselves. You look at the injuries City have had, and I know a lot of the clubs have had injuries. You've had issue with the goalkeeper at half-time today, but people come in and you go, they just get on with it. They just seem to just roll with it. That squad, that feel-good factor, that belief. And it didn't seem to bottom that much, even with the change of the goalkeeper, who's a huge player for him.
At this stage of the season, Paul, would you be highly encouraged because you're creating that quality of chance against a side like Manchester City, or are you going to be concerned that finishing is deserting your players at key moments?
Well, their home form's going to keep them up. They've had chances today. They couldn't have played any better against Wolves a couple of weeks ago, and they drew 2-2. So they're playing well and they're not winning football matches. Dangerous recipe. Dangerous recipe.
I think the good thing is that they're creating chances, though. Yeah. When you're a team going for that, I've been in that relegation battle, and you're not creating chances.
What's it like?
It's devastating. It's devastating. The confidence it zaps out of you. It really does.
No, but that's what I mean. So you're saying the longer this goes on, the more they're going to be snatching at chances. They're snatching at chances against the best team in the world when it's a free swing.
But you can change
when they play against another team, and then
they're creating chances against the best team in the world as well. So that would give you confidence when you come from these games.
But isn't the pressure just going to ramp up though, Mike?
You do your debrief after, and you'll say the positives of this game. We've created these chances. Next week, when you have the game, let's take these chances. It's a different. If you're getting chances against Man City, who have the ball for 66% of the time, you're going to create chances against other
Micah,
teams.
they have to take the chances. Sheffield United next week. They've only picked 10 points up away from home, Nottingham Forest. And that, for me, is a concern. I mean, look, Sheffield United relegated. They've got nothing to play for. They've got no pressure. But they want to really go, right, you come to Bramall Lane, see if you can deal with the atmosphere. Because it's going to be. It's been a nightmare at Sheffield United.
I think they'll have enough, yeah.
Goals.
But I still believe Forest have enough. They've got enough quality
yeah.
players in the top end of the field. You look at Alanga and Hudson-Odoi. Morgan Gibbs-White, I thought, was magnificent today.
Wing-backs.
It's a big game next week. Luton play Friday night. If they beat Everton and Everton are safe, that goal starts to look like an ice hockey goal.
3 games to save themselves. Michael, I've completely forgot what I was going to say about Merson and Cans. I know. It was the back 3. There was a change of shape today. Do you think that is something they should pursue in these final 3 games?
Well, I've seen it before with Forest and Nuno. We saw it a lot with him at Wolves when he first came in. I thought he would be a banker to go to. to that. I mean, he hasn't. He's played about 4. That's the first time in a long period that he has. But that's because the force at Manchester City are. Whether he'll go to that next week and get Sheffield United, only time will tell. But I think it was very, very positive. The two wing-backs, Aina and Williams, till he went off, and then Montiel when he came on, they were a real threat and caused Man City problems. So looking at that, it would make you think you might stick to it.
The thing is, with the back three there today, the goalkeeper wasn't man the match. Can't remember him making a save, the goalkeeper.
Made a couple of saves.
A couple, but nothing like usually you play Man City and you're diving all over the place. So for me, you stay the same and say, right, you know, you've reeled off all the players they got going forward and go, right, we'll keep it tight at the back, we'll keep it to 0, and you go and score goals. Like last week against Wolves or 2 weeks ago, they played brilliantly. They scored 2 goals and they still don't win the game. It's hard to stay up when you keep on letting in goals. So for me, I would keep it tight at the back, and they've got enough talent to get on with it, but they've got to put their chances away.
Pitchgate continues. Doesn't sound like it was ideal for Manchester City from that slightly sarcastic response.
No, I think we've all played the game. I think what he's alluding to is the pitch was dry, so you can't move the ball as quickly as possible. And obviously he's being sarcastic about it, but they got the win in the end. You know, I think the level of pitches now in the Premier League, we can't really be moaning if the pitches are wet or dry. No,
Michael?
No, I mean, we all know the way Manchester City move the ball, and it slows it down if it's dry. It's simple as that.
So you try and stop them if you can.
Yeah, exactly. You try to gain an advantage, and that's what Nottingham Forest obviously looked to try and do. I mean, with his answer there when he said about it would have benefited Nottingham Forest with the chances they created, I'm not too sure about that. Maybe because Man City were to the level that we expect for them, and where they were on Thursday night, whether because it was so close to the game, I don't know. But I'd be happy if I was in, because it wasn't a performance that Man City we'd normally see, because they are magnificent. They've got world-class players. But today it was just about getting the job done.
Was that the biggest hurdle they had left, do you think?
I think so. And even on the back of obviously the Brighton game, which obviously took a lot out of them, Arsenal playing before them and winning. So there was a pressure game, and Forest are obviously fighting relegation, so they were going to come out with that fight. Obviously they tried to play some games with the pitches and making it dry, of course. But yeah, I think that's the game now. I think that result, I think the title for City now. Really do.
Spurs away. I think that's the game. They win that game comfortably. They win the league. I think Spurs could trouble Man City. They have done before. The way they play, how aggressive they are on the press, the transition's good. Got pace on the wings. Got pace in behind with Son. But that's the game I'm looking at if I'm Man City.
You saw Spurs today as well, did you? So you think that Spurs team or that performance would hurt Man City?
North London derby, anything can happen. In the second half, I thought Spurs were very good, albeit Arsenal give them a couple of opportunities. Spurs, on their day, I think could give Man City problems, yeah.
How would you rate, Paul, the severity of the fixtures that Manchester City have got left? Because ultimately they're going to have to drop points for Arsenal to win the title.
I can't see them not winning any of them games. No disrespect to the other teams, but Wolves struggling a bit with injuries, got a couple of players back, but not at full strength to go and play Man City at home, not full strength. Fulham, nice team. Fulham on their day. I think Fulham's their game. I think Fulham's the one. I think Fulham are the team that might hurt them. You know, good footballing team. You know, William, who can have a good game, the lad up front. I think they're the team. I think if you give them the chances today that they had, I think they could cause you problems. But I just think they're too good. I know it's like people go, oh, don't give up. But they're proven. It's not like they've never done it before. They've done it so many times, that I just feel that they've become a better team when they have to win a football match. They sort of just get together and they win football matches. Sometimes I've watched them at the start of the season and you sort of go, it's a bit boring. You know, they go 1-0 up and then they just pass it forever. But like I watched them the other week against someone on Soccer Saturday and Luton, and they scored and they just went after them. And they were trying to score 7 and 8 and 9 goals. I just think they're so good. I think we don't give them enough credit for that. You know, they're playing under severe pressure and they keep on performing week in, week out.
Michael, would it be a bit of a strange one for Spurs fans if, ahead of that game, you know what I'm going to ask?
I know where you're going, Dave.
If they were to beat Manchester City, that might hand the title to Arsenal.
Well, I think it would hand the title to Arsenal if Spurs beat Manchester City here. And I always thought Spurs would have a big impact on the title race with having to play Arsenal today. That didn't quite go to plan. Man City and Liverpool. I see Liverpool being out of it. But I can see Man City coming here and it being a hard game for them. All right, they were 3-0 down today. They give them 2 goals. and they could have took the opportunities. Romero had 2 headers that could have been completely different, albeit it wasn't, and then later on in the second half they go on and get 2 goals. So I think Man City will be looking at coming here being a tough game.
If they do go on and win this, will it be the best one yet, do you think?
I think so for Pep, yeah. Obviously, it's on the back of last season where they'd obviously amazing season. They can still have obviously win the double this year. I think that 4 in a row. I think with the injuries, look at earlier in the season, a very good challenge this year from obviously Arsenal. So I think Pep, this would certainly be up there, one of his best achievements if they can get over the line this year with City. I think with all the injury problems, yeah, I think it'd be up there.
Looks like it's a battle between these 3 for those 2 remaining places, with Sheffield United already down. Let's look at it first from a Nottingham Forest perspective, Michael. Sheffield United away, we've discussed that. I suppose for them, it's the danger is that last game, isn't it? And wanting to have a cushion before you go into that.
Yeah, Sheffield United take care of itself. They've been relegated, tough game. And then Chelsea, Saturday night football. Forest stayed up last year after beating Arsenal on a Sky game. And that place, they will look at that. If they can get a result against Sheffield United away from home, beat Chelsea, which is, you never know with Chelsea. On the day they can be good. They turn up to the City ground, 5:30 kick-off, anything could happen. That place will be rocking. Can they make that night special? And then Burnley away, they will not want it going to the last game. Burnley are only 2 points behind. They could be still in right.
Goal difference? I think goal difference will come into it.
6-0 win and sort that out on the last day.
Just for any of the teams near the bottom could go down a goal difference, you know.
For Burnley, does that last game just give them that hope?
Oh, they'd be delighted to get the last game. Burnley, when you think of a few months ago, you were obviously writing them off, but they've shown a bit of quality, a bit of fight. And if Burnley are at home and they think to beat Forest, to stay up or whatever, to have a chance of staying up, they'd be delighted with that.
Just another quick look at that graphic, if we may, before we move on. Just in terms of the Luton perspective, because you were talking about this earlier, in terms of Everton on the Friday night football being absolutely key. And despite the fact they've won one of their last 14 games, do you still have hope for them of finding something?
If you looked at all them fixtures of the 3 teams, you take Luton's. You take Luton. You know, Everton are safe, Fulham are safe, West Ham, you know, you go and play West Ham. I mean, it's better than they've got the, I wouldn't say easiest fixtures because they haven't won in so many games, but if you had to pick them, I would take them games. You know, Chelsea, you'd see it last night with Chelsea. They played 4th in the league, destroyed them in the second half, literally destroyed them. So for me, if they win on Friday night, I think the pressure's on severely on because I expect Luton to beat Fulham on the last day of the season.
Very smiley, Mikel Arteta at full time talking to Patrick Davison. I think a lot of people thought that Arsenal could come unstuck here this afternoon. Not you, Paul. You made it very clear how confident you were. But what can Arsenal take from this? Not just the victory against their great rivals, but also the way they had to dig in and fight in those final moments.
Yeah, but they shouldn't have had to. They shouldn't have had to. It's simple as that.
That's not going to be their takeaway from this game, is it?
Well, it is. It's going to be do the simple things well. And the simple thing was for the goalkeeper to put that ball 60 yards, 70 yards up the pitch. Even though you're 3-0 up, it doesn't mean you can start taking liberties with the other team because football changes that quickly. That's what you've got to learn. They were absolutely cruising and they're hanging on for dear life at the end. I mean, hanging on. And that's inexperience.
As Bukayo Saka said, they might have drawn that game last season.
They might have. I think if Tottenham got up ahead of steam, I didn't think they had another chance of scoring after they went 3-2. But it was so comfortable. You wouldn't see Man City doing that. But brilliant, fair play. You've got to win games. You've got to win, and they've come here and won. And the main thing is for the fans. This is a big game for Arsenal fans. Huge game. They win the game. What worries me when I'm watching, I see them winning the next 3 games, but I see the Man United game as a hard game. If they win their next 3 games and don't win the league, I don't know how that's going to affect them, for next season. Because I think last season, they come into this season, they go, you know what, everybody said we melted, let's go again. You win the next 3 games and you don't win the league, you come back and you go, what else can we do?
But they are up against...
What else can we do?
But the problem is they're up against one of the greatest teams we've ever seen.
Yeah, I know.
That's the downside. Yeah. They've improved on, obviously,
100%.
If they can win the last few games, you think, well, they're better than last year in terms of their points, games won.
It would take them to 89 points.
Of course. But it's the problem is Man City. It's the same for Liverpool over last year. This is one of the greatest teams we've ever seen. And that's the challenge for teams like Arsenal. And it's not over yet, but even if they do win the games, but at least make City win their games. Don't what happened last year where you just kind of faded away. And I think this Arsenal team will make City win all their games.
From this point, would you say that whatever happens for Arsenal, they've made progress?
Well, 100%. Oh, without a doubt. I think with the recruitment, they're talking about obviously the experience of last year, and this is still not over yet. And they might look back and go, whatever, after the Bayern game, that the Aston Villa game, probably the game that will cost them. But they've made huge progress. But the key is then what happens in the summer, and they continue to improve and get better and still compete with this amazing Man City team.
I think they've adapted really well. There was moments in this game we thought Arsenal would be in the ascendancy, really pressing high, but for a lot of the game, they sat deep and waited for the right moments. We saw that when they came to the Etihad as well. They know what to do going into games. I think maybe Arsenal last season would have to play a certain way, but credit to Arteta, he sort of picked and chose for different moments in the game how to manage the games, and I thought he did it excellently well until the mistakes.
I thought you were trying to get my attention, Michael. Sorry, you're waiting for your Spurs moment. Well, let me tell you that the gap is now 20 points. How much of a concern is that?
Yeah, I think you've got to give Arsenal credit. Look, I realise that where they're challenging Manchester City, and they may well win the league, and that's credit to them. They've had a season like after last year where they blew it away. This year they might win it. And that's credit to Mikel Arteta and his team, where they came to the Tottenham Stadium today, and we all thought they would have possession. They surrendered possession. They said, go on, can you break us down as a Tottenham team? And that didn't happen. Got caught on the counter-attack with a Saka goal. So credit to them, they came and did a job.
Key point of Arsenal's armoury increasingly has been this set-piece weapon. We've talked about the delivery of Kevin De Bruyne at Manchester City. We've seen it here from Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice from Arsenal this afternoon. 22 set-piece goals they have this season. Their record in a Premier League season stands at 24. Just how important is this becoming, Paul?
Oh, massive. It's a massive, especially when I played under George Graham, it was a massive part of our game was set plays, at either end. If you look, every Arsenal player's behind. The Tottenham players are all watching. The worst thing you could ever do as a defender, and I wasn't a defender, but I know the game, is you can't let them players get goal side of you. And every one of them virtually ends up on the other side of the player. And they should be further back then and let them run across the 6-yard box, and then they can attack it. They end up being in behind them. It's unbelievable. This wouldn't happen at an under-12s football match. Look at every one of them's behind them now. They're all goal side. It's unbelievable.
But to do it once is bad in such a big game, but also twice for the other goal. They've not learned their lessons.
This is the key part of it as well, though, isn't it?
Would you let that happen, Michael?
No, I think an outfield player, go and get Ben White, stand on his toes. Don't let him dictate Vicario. Vicario should be free. On this incident, he can't get anywhere near Vicario.
He's got to be more aggressive.
That's not it. This incident here and this set piece, get him out the way. It's 3 yards out. Then he goes and punches the ball. Whether one of the defenders has to come and stand on Ben White's toes, get your arm around, get him away from the goalkeeper, and then he's free to go and demand that area. That's 3 yards out.
I always say, come with violence.
Look, let me tell you, if the goalkeeper's coming there and he's about to punch the ball and have a punch his head there, let me tell you, he ain't going to be that brave.
Look at the body positions, though, Michael, there. Look, they're running across, and they're all looking at the ball.
Yeah.
They don't know who's behind them. They're not blocking anything. And it's a free header.
It's a free header from 3 yards out.
It's too easy.
It's way too easy. You expect sometimes the way Arsenal plays, older guy getting on a ball and finding a pass and cutting you open that way. 2 set pieces. For Spurs' point of view, that is devastating. Absolutely devastating to give Arsenal, a top team, a leg up in that way.
And it means that Mikel Arteta now has 100 Premier League wins as a manager, and he's got there in extremely quick time. Let's put it in context for you. Some great names that he's up on this list with.
Wow.
He's got there faster than Arsene Wenger by 10 games.
Wow.
But he's in some great company, isn't he?
Oh, you know what? That's respect. Wow. You think, oh, he got a chance. He did. They stayed with him. They were patient. He must have been winning football matches at the time. I mean, that is an unbelievable to be. You're only 7 behind Sir Alex Ferguson. Jurgen Klopp, who's we say a legend. He's 10 games. I mean, phenomenal. Absolutely fair play to him. Fair play. I know people will go, yeah, but he hasn't won the league.
Does that matter?
It's all about timings. Doesn't matter if you're a heavyweight. If you're a heavyweight challenger and Mike Tyson's about, you're not winning the world title. and it's a bit like that. You're just bang unlucky. You've got to accept that you were the second best at the time, and if they weren't about, I would have won. It's just timings, you know. How many people won the 400 hurdles when Michael Johnson was about? Yeah, no one. You know, and that's how it works. It's just timings. They're bang unlucky. They are bang unlucky, in my opinion. I know people might say, oh, well, you've got to make your own luck, but their squad... You know, the problem with Arsenal they've got as well, is next season to improve this team, how do you improve it? You know, it's a bit like Tottenham a few years back. Tottenham had an unbelievable 11. You know, you said Tottenham have to improve, but you're an agent. You go and see someone. You go, right, I need a centre forward. Right, I'll meet up with him. I want to sign you 60 million. Where am I playing? Oh, you're not playing. You won't get in this team at the moment. Why would you come?
And when you're looking at Man City, the way I'd look is well, the big question mark I look at Man City over the last year or two when they've had so much success is will they lose that hunger and that desire? Maybe a little bit, maybe human nature. I don't see it with Pep. I think as long as City are there and their recruitment, the young players they've got coming through, the people like Haaland, I think as long as City have that hunger and desire, which they seem to have, then it's so difficult to stop.
They always bring in that hunger, didn't they? Like they bring in Haaland, who's hungry. You know, Jack Grealish, hungry. You know, Doku, hungry. They just bring in them just to, you know, Kovacic, hungry. They just bring them in to add to the people that just keep on, like Phil Foden, who's won 5. What was he, won 4 or 5? That's ridiculous, isn't it? If he was in a book, you'd read that book and go, that can't happen.
I just want to ask you about a striker because looking at City, they won the league without Haaland. They played with that false 9 role. They bring in Haaland, give him a different option to win the treble. What's next for Arsenal then? We're talking about bridging that gap. Would a striker do that, in your opinion?
I do like Havertz, but I think they do need that pace up front.
Played well today, Havertz, didn't he?
Oh, no, he's a good player. He's top drawer. I'm a big fan of his. But they need that real electric pace, you know, that can turn it up. You know, like today, Haaland comes on, the defence are like that. Oh, here we go. You know, Arsenal haven't really got that, and they struggled against Villa because they didn't have that.
So how do Spurs take that next step?
Well, I think they've got the right man in charge. It's been progress. That's what they have to look from where they were 12 months ago. Obviously, really disappointing day today. I look and I think they need a number 9. I think when Richarlison came on today, he made a difference. In hindsight, would Ange have started him? Maybe. Everything's easy in hindsight. I just think he causes a problem. And a number 9 for me is a place. I think you look at the 2 centre-halves, Mickey van der Ven. I mean, the pace he covers the ground is incredible.
What about centre midfielder as well? A Holding who can, because basically the way
Spurs and Sarr were sharp at the start of the season.
Yeah, at times I remember that game against Newcastle Spurs when the way they like to press and tactically how they set up, it can leave you in the middle of the park exposed at times. So just a defensive-minded midfielder at times for another option.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that. Bentancur's obviously coming out from a long-term injury and he's had his few niggles. I'm a big fan of him. Basuma was nowhere to be seen 12 months ago. He's improved. I just don't think they've hit the height in the latter stages of the season. James Maddison, he came in, he was unbelievable. He hasn't quite hit them heights again. Do you need to build more players to... When James Maddison's not at that level, can we then replace him to bring him on? You're talking about a squad. It's hard. It's hard to build that gap. I mean, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool have dropped off 5 points now. I mean, it's really hard to challenge, but it's got to be positive. Andrew will stay there and trying to keep improving, trying to close that gap.
Still work to be done for Spurs, of course, this season in the fight for Champions League places. We'll see them in action against Chelsea on Thursday night. Micah, thank you very much. Michael, thank you. Paul, thank you very much. And Roy, thanks very much as well.